I thought a lifetime together meant something. Not just the big things, like the births of our children or the day we bought our first home, but the small, worn grooves of a shared existence. The way he always made the coffee too strong, just how I liked it. The silent communication of a glance across a crowded room. The comfortable weight of his hand in mine during our evening walks. For 30 years, we had built a life, brick by brick, memory by memory. I believed those bricks were made of granite. But the day he told me he was leaving me for a woman half my age, a woman from his office, with a laugh I'd once thought was too loud and a future that hadn't yet been written, the world didn't crumble. It froze. The air in our beautiful, sunlit kitchen turned to ice. I watched his mouth form the words, his face a mixture of pity and impatient excitement, and I felt nothing but a profound, chilling stillness. Everyone expected me to fall apart. They expected tears, begging, the hysterics of a woman being discarded. But a strange calm settled over me. Instead of breaking, my vision sharpened. I began to notice everything. The furtive glances at his phone, the new password on his laptop, the hidden credit card statements, the business trips that never added up. Quietly, methodically, while he was out buying his new lover flowers, I began to gather proof. While he celebrated his new beginning, smiling with a freedom that felt like a slap, I was preparing mine. He thought he was leaving a sad, aging wife behind. He had no idea that the woman he was abandoning was just beginning to see him clearly. And when the truth finally surfaced in that stark, fluorescent-lit courtroom, he learned, too late, what he had truly underestimated. Not my love, but my formidable, quiet, and unbreakable strength. I met Michael when I was 22. He was all ambition and bright, blinding charm, a young executive with a future that seemed to stretch to the horizon. I was an artist, a dreamer with paint under my fingernails and a belief that love was the greatest masterpiece. We were a perfect, complementary balance. His ambition grounded my whimsy. My creativity softened his hard edges. For years it worked. We built the life. A beautiful, chaotic, love-filled life. I put my art career on the back burner to raise our 2 children, Chloe and Ben. I was the one who managed the household, who soothed nightmares, who packed lunches, and helped with science projects. I was the steady, warm heartbeat of our home. I supported Michael's rise up the corporate ladder, hosting dinner parties for his colleagues, moving cities for his promotions, always making sure our home was a sanctuary for him to return to. My art became a hobby, then a distant memory, my canvases stored in the attic, gathering dust alongside my former self. As the years passed, the balance shifted. His success grew. His salary multiplied. My world, once so vast and full of color, slowly shrank to the dimensions of our home. He started talking about legacy and lifestyle with a new intensity. He upgraded his car, his watch, his wardrobe. I was still driving the family SUV, still wearing the same comfortable sweaters I'd had for years. He'd make offhand comments. "You should get your hair done, Julia. A little freshening up." Or, "Maybe it's time to redo this living room. It looks a bit dated." I brushed it off as stress, as the quirks of a man entering his later years. I thought the foundation we had built was unshakable. I never realized he was already drafting the blueprints for a new structure, one I wasn't invited to inhabit. The first real crack appeared a year before the day. His business trips became more frequent. His phone, which used to lie casually on the kitchen counter, was now a permanent appendage, face down. He'd get text messages at odd hours and leave the room to answer them. When I asked, he'd sigh, the long-suffering sigh of a man burdened by important, secretive work. "It's just a difficult client, Jules. You wouldn't understand." And I, in my loyalty, believed him. I brought him tea. I rubbed his shoulders. I was caring for the very man who was meticulously planning his exit from my life. The trigger was a single, forgotten receipt. It was a Tuesday. He was away on another business trip. I was cleaning our bedroom, trying to find a sense of order in the growing chaos of my mind. As I was putting a stack of his laundered shirts into his drawer, a small, crumpled piece of paper fluttered out from between the folds. It was a receipt from an expensive, intimate French restaurant in the city. The date was from 2 nights prior, a night he was supposedly at a conference in another state. The bill was for 2, and it was paid with a credit card I didn't recognize. The world didn't end. It just focused. That cold, clear calm I would come to know so well washed over me. I didn't cry. I didn't call him and scream. I carefully smoothed out the receipt and took a picture of it with my phone. Then I went to his home office. He thought I was technologically inept, that I didn't understand the world of finance he inhabited. But I had built the foundation of this life. I knew our finances, our accounts, our patterns. I logged into our shared computer. I found the password to his email saved in the browser, a foolish, arrogant mistake. And there it was, the entire, sordid story laid out in a chain of emails with a woman named Sasha. The love notes, the plans for their future, the discussions about my house, my finances, my life. He called me the old model. He told her he was waiting for the right time to pull the plug. The man I had shared a bed with for 3 decades was discussing my obsolescence with the cold detachment of a CEO terminating an employee. When he returned home, tanned and relaxed from his conference, I was waiting. I didn't confront him with the emails. I simply said, "I know about Sasha." The shock on his face was quickly replaced by a staggering relief. He didn't deny it. He didn't apologize. He launched into a rehearsed speech about how we had grown apart, how he deserved to be happy, how this was a new chapter for him. He presented his betrayal as a form of personal growth. The foundation of my life, which I thought was granite, was revealed to be sand, and he was the one who had quietly been washing it away for years. In the days and weeks that followed, Michael's mask fell away completely. The charming, attentive husband was gone, replaced by a cold, impatient stranger. He moved into the guest bedroom, but his presence was a poison in the house. He'd flaunt his new life, taking calls with Sasha in the living room, laughing loudly, talking about their upcoming trips. He started removing family photos from the walls, saying they depressed him. The financial siege began almost immediately. He canceled our joint credit cards. He stopped transferring money into our shared account for household bills. When I asked him about it, he looked at me with genuine confusion. "Well, you'll need to figure things out for yourself now, Julia. I can't support you forever." I was a 55-year-old woman who had dedicated her life to her family, and I was being cut off financially overnight. I felt the walls closing in. I'd look at the grocery bill, a bill for the food he still ate in my house, and feel a surge of panic. I was being systematically starved out of my own life. The final, definitive blow came when I received a letter from his lawyer. It was a formal offer for a divorce settlement. It was shockingly, insultingly low. It offered me a small, lump sum payment that wouldn't have covered 2 years of my current living expenses in exchange for signing away any claim to his pension, his investments, or the full value of our home. The cover letter stated that since I had voluntarily chosen not to pursue a career, my financial needs were significantly reduced. It was a declaration of war, dressed in legal jargon. He wasn't just leaving me. He was trying to erase me, to pauper me, to ensure his new chapter wasn't burdened by the ghost of the old one. In that moment, the last flicker of love or nostalgia died. It was replaced by a cold, focused fury. He had made this a financial battle, and I decided I would win it. I knew I had to fight fire with ice. While he was out shopping for engagement rings with Sasha, I was in the basement, going through 30 years of filed tax returns and financial records. I am an artist. I see patterns, and the patterns I began to see were damning. I found evidence of a separate, hidden bank account he had opened 2 years prior, into which he had been funneling large annual bonuses. I found transfers to an investment account in only his name. I found receipts for jewelry I had never received, for luxury hotel stays on dates that corresponded with his business trips. But the true jackpot, the moment the power balance irrevocably shifted, was when I was looking through an old external hard drive for childhood photos of the kids. Buried in a folder of scanned documents was a PDF of a post-nuptial agreement. I had never seen this document before. It was dated from 5 years ago, and it purported to limit my claim on his business assets in the event of a divorce. The signature next to my name was a crude forgery. He hadn't just hidden money. He had created a fraudulent legal document. He wasn't just greedy. He was criminal. I was no longer the betrayed wife fighting for a fair share. I was a whistleblower sitting on a powder keg of evidence. The primary investor in his life had just discovered the CEO was embezzling. I didn't send a furious email to his lawyer. I didn't threaten him. I went to the best divorce attorney in the city, a woman named Diana Thorne who was known for her brilliance and her ruthlessness. I walked into her office with a banker's box of evidence. I laid it all out for her. The hidden accounts, the fraudulent transfers, the fake post-nup. Diana didn't bat an eye. "This is more than a divorce, Julia," she said. "This is fraud. This is dissipation of marital assets. We have him." Our strategy was not to negotiate. It was to annihilate. We decided to play his game, but better. We would act conciliatory, dragging out preliminary negotiations while we, in the background, filed subpoenas for every financial record we could find. We hired a forensic accountant. We located the hidden assets, tracing them through a labyrinth of shell companies and secret accounts. My quiet countermove was to use his own arrogance against him. He was so convinced of his own cleverness, so sure I was a helpless, sentimental fool, that he never imagined I was building a case that would not only strip him of his ill-gotten gains, but would expose him as a criminal. While he was picking out china patterns for his new life, I was quietly assembling the legal equivalent of a nuclear warhead. The confrontation did not happen in our home. It happened in a sterile mediation room. Michael arrived with his lawyer, smug and condescending. He expected me to be broken, to beg for a slightly larger pittance. He started with the same patronizing tone. "Julia, be reasonable. This is a generous offer. You need to be practical." That's when Diana Thorne spoke. Her voice was like polished steel. "We are done being practical, Michael. We are now in the realm of evidence." She slid a thick folder across the table. "This is a summary of our findings. The hidden bank account, to which we have full transaction records. The fraudulent investment transfers. And this," she said, placing the fake post-nup on top, "is a felony." The color drained from Michael's face. His lawyer snatched the folder and began frantically flipping through it. The smugness evaporated, replaced by pure, unadulterated panic. This is entrapment," he sputtered. "No, Michael," I said, speaking for the first time. My voice was quiet, but it carried in the dead silence of the room. "This is consequence. You thought you could discard me like yesterday's news. You thought my 30 years of love and labor were worthless. You were wrong." I looked at him, the man I had loved for a lifetime, and I felt nothing but a vast, empty pity. "You didn't just underestimate my strength. You overestimated your own cleverness. The offer is now off the table. We will see you in court." The power in the room didn't shift. It was vaporized on my side. He was left with nothing. No defense, no leverage, no escape. The architect of his own perfect future had just watched it collapse into a pile of legal rubble. We never went to court. The evidence was so overwhelming that his lawyers advised him to settle immediately to avoid criminal prosecution for fraud and forgery. The final settlement was everything I was entitled to and more. I received the full value of the house, a substantial portion of his pension and investments, and a large, lump sum payment for the dissipation of assets. He was left financially wounded and professionally humiliated. The story, of course, got out. His new beginning with Sasha began under a cloud of scandal and financial strain. I heard through mutual friends that it didn't last a year. I still live in our house, but it is my house now. I had it renovated, erasing his presence room by room. The attic is now my art studio, flooded with light. My canvases are no longer dusty memories. They are vibrant, bold declarations of a life rediscovered. My relationship with my children, who are horrified by their father's actions, is deeper and more honest than ever. This real-life story taught me that a lifetime of love can be invalidated by a single act of betrayal, but a lifetime of character cannot. I learned that the most dignified revenge is not a dramatic scene, but the quiet, meticulous reclamation of your own power, your own worth, and your own future. I lost a husband, but I found the formidable woman I had been before I ever met him. The end of his story was not the end of mine. It was simply the moment I picked up the pen and began writing a better one. If this emotional story about betrayal, resilience, and rediscovering your strength has resonated with you, please share your thoughts in the comments. For more real-life stories, like and subscribe. Thank you for listening.